When I was a mechanical engineer, first job I ever had, we milled a very precise piece of machinery for NASA. We went to put it together and it didn't fit. And there was a couple students, we were all shocked, and the senior engineer is about 50 years old. He goes, "Oh, I got this." And he went and got a hammer and he just pounded it out. And I thought, oh, okay, that's what engineering's really about. I thought it was about tables and precision and mathematics. Like, no, it's about hitting it with a hammer.
I'm Victor Hwang. My friend Phil Wickham and I are on the road, traveling the heartland to listen to local entrepreneurs who are starting and growing their businesses. We want to see communities in action and share the stories of people who are inspiring hope and renewing our economy. Our last stop is St. Louis. We're visiting Washington University, and we're going to meet the next generation of entrepreneurs.
When I first started, I really didn't want to start. So I kept asking people, like waiting for them to say like, "No, don't do that, that's a terrible idea." And it's like, okay, great. But then I would go back to it and say, I know that this can work. I'm afraid of how it's going to work, but I know that it can. And so I was casting a very wide net just because I kind of wanted people to talk me out of it. But then when people did, it emboldened me to be like, well, you're wrong. I know you're wrong, and I know that I can do this.
Shows like Silicon Valley or satire and maybe can poke some fun at it, but I think a lot of that buzz is about everything except the actual day-to-day grind, like the actual operations.
Communication has always been the thing that we work on the most because with any of the teams that I'm in, typically the toughest piece is the communication. It was something that I really had to learn how to motivate people and critique without insulting.
Being an entrepreneur at the end of the day is really hard. It's a very challenging thing because...
But is it harder than you expected when you got into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would say that there's challenges every single day, but at the end of the day, it falls on you.
I didn't consider myself an entrepreneur until very recently, probably in the last year. And it was because I did want to lead a more holistic life. I wanted my work to reflect what I actually believe and how I live.
I thought that entrepreneurs were individuals that maybe had it all figured out, right? They knew what they had to do, they were able to execute and then get it done. And I did not feel like I had the knowledge. I didn't feel like we had all the information. And then after talking to people and kind of understanding what entrepreneurship really is, it's a way of thinking. It's doing things, it's actually trying things.
This is something my parents used to tell me all the time, but I didn't really believe it until I actually experienced it. But the more you learn, the more you understand you don't know.
You're going to get so much advice, much more than you ever thought you would, about every single thing. And at the beginning, all that advice seems really important. But then you have someone else who tells you the exact opposite thing. And the more advice you get, you slowly start to realize that any opinion that you want to find is out there.
I do think that it's part of getting caught up in the excitement of the burgeoning field of entrepreneurship. People do want to be involved and they want to lend assistance as best they can.
We're all in the same boat. Whether you're just graduating college or somebody who's 65 years old who just got out of industry. As an entrepreneur, you're all facing similar challenges. And so I think for me, it was kind of this evolution of, I am an entrepreneur.
First of all, innovation is not new to St. Louis. I mean, in 1904, this was the place where the World's Fair and the Olympics collided. So I'm not surprised when I ultimately come here and you think about where this place came from and what's in the heart and mind and sinew of the place, and then where it is and where it's going now. And I decided I was really fascinated with how you create entrepreneurial environments. I had been privileged to be in a number of these places where you know them when you see them. I didn't have any metrics to say this is more entrepreneurial than that, but there was some gut feeling. The question always was, how do you help to foster these kind of environments? And I think part of it is that you're willing to be a little quirky and different, and that's okay, and we embrace that. And you're always asking the why questions. Why? And the why leads to more whys, and you're willing to sort of try something different in framing a solution. Let's just talk about how you solve those why questions. If you really want to get the best collection of solutions, you've got to figure out how to get the broadest cross-section of perspectives at the table, regardless of where they came from, who they know, or what their background is. You're sitting in the chair, what can you bring today? Everyone bring their best to this problem. And that's how you move forward. If we can get more of that in every walk of life, I think everybody wins.
You feel like kids maybe aren't trained in the art of uncertainty?
Living with this sort of comfort in uncertainty is something that is a differentiator. So helping them to understand how they can add layers of certainty in an uncertain world. And I might disagree with assumption A, B, or C, but I can attack that assumption and you can adjust it and we can move on. Those are the kinds of things that we want to teach.
So should we talk about St. Louis a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
What'd you think?
Man, I liked it. I've liked every place we've gone. Cole was saying 1/3 of the students now are interested in becoming entrepreneurs. I knew there was a surge, but that's like huge.
And Abby was telling me when she landed here 6 years ago that none of this existed. You know, that there was no sense of entrepreneurship or any of these activities. This all happened very, very recently. You know, that's amazing. I think you'd probably see that across a lot of campuses in the U.S., that it's how much the, entrepreneurship is catching fire. What about Dr. Carter? Pretty special guy.
What a cool guy.
He's a real coup for the university because he's got this really amazing combination of being such a down-to-earth guy, but really big thinker. You see a lot of these people just going full speed ahead. You talk to them and like, why are you doing it? They're saying, there's just so much to learn, so much to learn.
It's almost like you're going through the woods, and when you're doing innovation, when you're being an entrepreneur at the very edge of something, it's like you go through the woods, but then the vistas keep getting bigger and bigger, right? And you see like, oh, I didn't know that existed out there. I didn't know that was possible.
And you're in a community of people that are curious and open and helpful, and then you sit down, you have a meal with them or a beer with them or a cup of coffee, and in a short period of time, they can radically expand upon your worldview because of the things they know, and they're willing to share it.
The ability to see limitless vistas through the lens of entrepreneurship really changes your perspective on things.